they told me when I got here, they said all the shows are almost sold out except Snake. Snake is late. So if you want to come and see us, come up to Snake and see us. You know where Snake is? Yeah, come up. It smelled like sneak. I'm going to write a song there called I Snuck in the Sneak. Just for a peek. I took a leak. I stayed for a week. You can tell my Dutch blood by the way I rhyme. Hey? Chip-knip. Chip-knip. The Dutch will rhyme anything, won't they? Chip-knip. Hey, we got a chip? Let's go to the chip-knip. For a long time, I had an agent in Holland, in the Netherlands. His name was Bas Fleisman. His name was Bas Fleiss. He named his kid Dice. Dice Fleiss. Don't frickin' get weird with me, man. I'll call it Fleischman if I want to. And you know what they had? They had an attempt downstairs for the dinner. They served us wonderful food before the show. They tried to serve some vegetarian. It's falafels. They had a few falafels. Want some vegetarian? What is it? Falafels. You know what they say? Tiffany's from Texas. You know what they say in Texas? If you're not supposed to eat animals, how come they're made of meat? All right, before we go, we got. It's not the best I could do. All right, before we go, I got to talk to you about one thing. And I know most of this generation. I see you up there. I see you. And I know this was the generation. I know this was the generation that was in on the deal. This was the generation that spent their last. They spent all their years. They spent all their money. They spent all their money to saved it up so on Friday afternoon they could go down to the record store to go through the vinyls. Remember, to go through the vinyls. Remember. Geez, I'm glad those photographers left. They just wouldn't fucking show. I guess, they can't. I guess they get bottled up. All they do is take pictures. They can't really talk to anyone. When they fucking get free of it, they're like, oh. That's how I am. Whenever I get a break, I take pictures. Tough crowd. This was a generation that spent their Friday afternoons with their last $3.65 going through the vinyl in the record store, remember? Yeah. And we couldn't sample them, remember? We could only look at them. We bought them by the cover in those days, remember? Yes. We bought them by the cover. Yeah. That's why the covers were so big, so we could see them. Say, this one looks really freaking good. I think I'm going to get this one. This one looks fantastic. We learned very quickly not to buy anything with a Hawaiian or a pineapple scene on it. We learned very quickly that was not a good record. And we had to put it in the milk crate. We had to put it in the milk crate over there, remember? But 7 out of 10 were good, remember? 7 out of 10 we could buy by the cover. The record company, the record business was worried about us. They were taking care of us. They were worried because we were in control of rock and roll, and they were worried, so they made us good records. They were in on the deal. And 7 out of 10 were good. And when we bought a record, we could do what we wanted with it. We didn't have to sign agree to buy a record. We didn't have to give our address. If we left the receipt behind, the FBI, CSIS, Interpol, nobody could find us through our music. We were free. Sure. We were free. It was liberation. Remember, rock and roll was liberation, and we were free. And we could take our records and we could play them backwards and listen to satanic messages if we wanted to. We could do what we wanted with those records. And we took them home. And we put them on that turntable. And we took that tone arm and we put 6 or 7 pennies on it and we worked through that scratch. Remember, we worked through that scratch till finally we got to learn to love the scratch. Years later, when you replace the record, you miss the scratch. You could work with our records, and you took that cassette tape and you shoved that pencil and you worked it till you found that splice. And then you scotch taped it. And then you played it the next week, you took that pencil and you wound it and you found it, you scotch taped over scotch tape to find that there was scotch tape over scotch tape over scotch tape, and there was nothing left to do but lay back, smoke a big coner, and listen to the scotch tape. But it was analog Scotch tape. It wasn't that fucking digital Scotch tape they have today. And texting and driving, and texting and driving, texting and driving was nothing compared to the 8-track tape deck. Texting and driving was nothing compared to the 8-track tape deck. You'd be down there for 20 minutes of it. You have the matchbook in it, your knee on it, your foot on the gas. They found guys dead on the side of the road with Eric Burden and the Animals etched in their kneecaps. Imagine me and you, I do. The only one for me is you and you for me. The only one for me. So happy together. I thought that's how it went. I sang it at school that way. There used to be this deal in rock and roll. There used to be this deal in rock and roll. We didn't hit you too hard coming in the door, and you helped us on the way out. You've been reneging on that deal a little bit lately, too. You've been going back on that deal a little bit lately, too. Sir, how much was it to get in tonight? $20. This is the 35-60 show. $20. $20. You know how much it is to see the Eagles? It's $200 to see the Eaglesmith, the guy who fixes the Eagles. It's $20. I want 2 jokes and a song back. Folks, before we go, I'm going to ask you to do something just like 1968. I'm going to ask you to stop by that merchandise booth over here. I'm going to ask you to stop by that merchandise booth on the way out, pick up a CD or a t-shirt, help us keep our little traveling show on the road. Thank you all so much. We'll see you another time. And our trains wrecked, and our buses fell apart. We couldn't see past the lights. We drove into the dark. We tore those places down. We burned them to the ground. And then we left those towns, headed down the road again. And our hands hurt from playing my guitar. Every night in all those bars, we played like we were stars. They backed us in a corner. The crowd called out for more. We're turning up too loud. We're on our way out the front door. Corey played the drums and Willie played the mandolin. He jumped around the stage. We thought that it would never end, and my hands hurt from playing my guitar. Every night all those bars, we played like we were stars. On the electric guitar from Norfolk County. From Vancouver, British Columbia, the first lady of the stand-up bass, Miss Justine Fisher. South Texas, ladies and gentlemen, the queen of the outskirts, the fabulous Miss Tim Tien. She's been up and down the back roads of North America and the rest of the world with me for over 14 years, ladies. On the drums tonight, from Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, it's Corey Hefner. can't make my way, they'll ask me about my life. And this is what I'll say. I'll say my hands hurt from playing my guitar every night on those bars with my head under the stars, with my back under the stars.